Hey everyone, this is Jim, producer of the Around the House Show podcast. If you're listening right now, you already know we bring you the best tips, tricks, and expert advice to fix, upgrade, and maintain everything in your home without the headaches or the huge bills. But if you're catching us on the radio or borrowing a friend's phone, you're missing out on new episodes dropping straight to your device every week. So do yourself a favor, hit pause for just a second, grab your phone, and subscribe to Around the House Show on your favorite podcast player. Whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, or wherever you listen. It's completely free, and you'll never miss an episode again. Thanks for supporting the show. Now let's get back to making your house work for you.
Everybody stop what you're doing, please!
When it comes to remodeling and renovating your home, there is no better show on your radio. This is Around the House with Eric G.
Where's the hammer?
From your back fence to the sidewalk, Eric will tell you how to keep it all in tip-top shape while helping you save a buck while doing it. If you like DIY projects, it takes a lot of practice to get good at it, and Eric is here to guide the way.
Is it on the, go up on the other floor. Somebody go up there and stop the hammering.
All that and more on the fastest 2 hours of home improvement radio.
These are the wrong plans. These are the old plans. Oh!
Welcome to
Stop it!
Around the House with Eric G.
Welcome to Around the House with Eric G. This is where we talk home improvement every single weekend. Thanks for joining us. I'm Eric G. I'm Dane Botter. Man, it's nice to have you here in the studio sitting next to me. This is pretty cool.
Absolutely. Back in the saddle again.
You got it. It's been awesome, man, and thanks for all your hard work. And we're back here talking home improvement like we do every single weekend. Thanks for joining us today. If you want to find out more about Around the House, just head over to us on Facebook, which is Around the House with Eric G., or the website, which is aroundthehouseonline.com.
Also, we want to answer all of your home improvement questions, so please give us a call here in the studio. That way we can answer your question and help everyone else who may have that same question. Our number 971-233-8992. And if maybe you're a little shy, that's fine as well. At aroundthehouseonline.com, you can go to the Contact Us page. Send us an email. We'll answer your question that way.
You got it, and we're here to help you out. Well, we got a fun show ahead. We're going to be talking about a bunch of different stuff today, but last half of this show, we'll be talking to my buddy William White from Ardex. We're going to be talking about some tile and most really be talking about kind of grouting and some of those tricks to doing that because, well, him and I were doing that last weekend after the show. So this is we'll be talking about that a little bit later, so stay tuned for that. But there's a bunch of stuff I wanted to get people up to date on because, man, it has been crazy around here with my projects. And then, of course, I'm getting ready to start speaking for the National Association of Home Builders here next month for the big International Building Show. And this is going to be fun. I'm giving 10 seminars on home technology. So all the smart home stuff, my house is going to be the test bed. So if you're a builder, remodeler out there, and there's a ton of you guys out there, make sure you check out some of those classes I'll be giving because we're going to be doing 10 different deep dives into smart home tech.
Well, and you've been kind of a test subject for a lot of these new smart home technologies and everything. You've had them in and out of your place over the last couple of years.
There's been some stuff that's worked awesome. Some stuff didn't last very long.
Yeah.
And we talk about the stuff that works well. If you'll notice, there's a couple things I didn't talk about on the show. Didn't work so well.
Yeah, that's just kind of part of that testing process. Figure out, I mean, and the thing is it might not work for you personally, Eric, but it could work well in somebody else's situation. It all depends on what you're looking for and what you need.
Speaking of one of them that worked pretty well here this last weekend, Maurice in the FI smart dog collar.
Oh, did he get out?
Oh, he escaped.
Of course he did.
You know how he did. And I'm like, we were up the street, and I'm like, he got out. Sure enough. But I got to tell the story because this was weird. So this dude did the El Chapo dig out of
Of the backyard?
Oh, yeah.
That you had put fencing below the ground?
You know where he dug? He dug under the little doggy deck I built and then under the deck that's on the backyard. So he dug out under both of those.
Little freaking
So because I didn't put the wire mesh under the doggy deck, so I had to disassemble to get underneath it. So I now have rocks in there, and it's each rock weighs twice as what his body weight is. He'd have to do some serious digging, and it would probably collapse in on him. So it's not going to be a good move for him to try to get out there. But
no, but I just knowing him, he'll find a way.
Oh yeah, and so anyway, long story short, that thing worked really, really well. But here's the weird thing. So Julie got on the phone with him, and I headed out from where we were at, location we were at, just a mile or two away. Pop back here, and she was still hanging out. I'm like, all right, let's go. I'll be back in a minute. And the lady goes, oh, I'm on the other side of the lake. I've got him. I'll meet you over at my house. Okay, no problem. Because she was driving and saw him running down the middle of the street.
Okay.
Grabbed him. Awesome. Thank you. So here's the crazy part of this whole thing. Julie texts me the address. I used to live at that exact address.
House.
It's an apartment.
Okay.
Out of the 200 places in this, it was my old unit.
Wow.
So, of course, I'm looking at that, and I'm like, what's going on? Am I getting punked?
This is weird.
I lived there for almost a year. That's weird. And it was I didn't have to put it up in the map. I just drove there, and I'm like, and they're standing there on the front porch with the dog, and I'm like, this is super weird. It was pretty funny, though. Pretty funny. Some of those weird things that you had to scratch your head and go, that was really odd. Really odd. Because at first I'm like, no, that's the address. You start to doubt yourself, but pretty crazy. Well, as you've been seeing around here, we got the kitchen almost done.
Yeah, you're wrapping up one project and about to start another.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's the kitchen's nice to have knocked out. I mean, we got some minor little details in there. And really had some fun doing tile with William this last week, getting all that tile put in there. And beautiful tile by Z Collection for the backsplash in the kitchen.
It's gorgeous.
Oh, thanks, man. Turned out really well. And then, I have done a ton of tile work, but there is nothing like working with an expert tradesman like William is, and that was really cool. We're putting a video together. We got some time lapses, so in the next week or two, you'll see that, and it's really cool. We did some time lapses and had some fun with this tile installation, but holy smokes.
To see the pro.
Yeah, I mean, just, we had a good time, and then using their products, and I'll say this later when I'm talking to William, but I've used some products off the home center shelves, and there is such a big difference between what's on the home center shelves and the stuff the pros use.
The stuff that's easily accessible to the consumer, but that just means it's put at eye level and they make sure they can sell it, but that doesn't mean it's great.
No, compared to some of the stuff that you get at the tile specialty store.
Absolutely.
Big difference. I mean, I some of this stuff, the mortar that we're putting the tile up with, just the thin set that we put the tile up with. I mean, I could have put that on the wall and thrown a full-on concrete block at it. I bet you it would have stuck. Just like it was peanut butter. And just some of that stuff is when you're using the right products, it just makes a huge difference. So I got to say thanks to that. But yeah, other than that, I've been doing more smart home stuff around here and kind of getting ready for the classes. Man, there's some new stuff out there we're going to be talking to. I've reached out to. There's some new electronic stuff, and not going to talk name brands just yet, but there is some new stuff out there where you can plug in, and this is exciting to me. I got to find out more about it, and so that's why I'm not giving the brands out just yet. But you plug it into the wall like it's some little sensor, basically, and it will sit there and read your electrical system and look for short circuits.
Okay.
So
not necessarily usage, but just short circuits.
It's just looking for something that could cause a fire.
Yep, which is a very nice thing to have.
That's awesome. So I'm doing some exploratory work on that to find out more about it. And that's a good one. I mean, anytime that we can stop a fire, just like when you look at some of the different control systems that you can actually run the to stop water from leaking. Man, if you could stop a fire with that, and if you can stop a flood with a broken pipe, you've got two big, huge causes for insurance claims out of your life.
Absolutely.
Now, when we were talking, last week, we talked a little bit about it in that, but long story short, I think that's going to become now, we're going to start to see more and more as far as home insurance companies. Your insurance company on your house, I think you're going to start seeing where they go, oh, well, if you're going to put these in, here's your discount of X. Maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 20. I don't know what that math is, but I think we're going to start getting to that point where you start installing these things and you're going to see some kind of a rebate because you just stopped a broken pipe flood from being bad in your house. You just stopped an electrical fire from happening, or at least telling you that you're going to have one. It's kind of impressive when you see that.
Well, and we've talked about over the last year or two about the fire-resistant insulation that you can put in that can stop a fire in its
on
track.
The wall right behind you.
Yeah, I mean, just to yes, you're going to have some damage, but you're going to keep it from spreading.
Yeah, it's like my countertops in the kitchen. I can literally start a barbecue, put charcoal briquettes on that thing. Wouldn't even hurt it. Of course, I'd smoke the house up.
Yeah.
But these are some of those things that you got to think about, as well as, and then in our next segment here, I wanted to talk about that a little bit on the fire prevention side, because I have been watching on a lot of these social media groups of people eliminating that hood vent over the top and putting in some microwave shelves where they maybe didn't want to buy the over-the-range microwave. You have the microwave over.
Yeah.
That's the vent fan and microwave. And people are putting a wood shelf up there and putting a regular microwave up on it. Yeah.
I mean, even I'm not a DIY person, and that's just common sense.
Yeah, and guys, we got to be a little smart with ventilation on some of this stuff. And I know I've kind of hit on this one a couple times, but let's do this before we got to break. I just want to say that anytime that you're putting something flammable up above the range,
you're going to have a bad time.
You're going to have a bad time because the first little grease bacon fire, you're lighting up your own life right there. More of that just as soon as Around the House returns. Hard water. About 85% of American households have it. It does damage to your plumbing system, tears up your water heater or coffee maker. If you want a water softener without using the heavy bags of salt that everyone dislikes dealing with, check out Natural Soft. It uses a catalytic process instead of salt to control that hard water. When you mix that with Natural Soft's water filtration system, you now have a system to take care of it all. For a clean water you can depend on from Natural Soft, head to solosalescompany.com. Check the show notes for the link and make sure and tell them Eric G sent you. Welcome back to Around the House with Eric G. This is your home improvement source every single weekend. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm Eric G.
I'm Dane Vodder.
We're, talking about just kind of doing some house cleaning here. I got so many little things to talk about right now. But first, if you want to see what's been going on in the world of Around the House, head over to Around the House with Eric G on Facebook, Instagram, little Twitter, LinkedIn. We're there. And, of course, AroundTheHouseOnline.com is where you're going to find everything, including the podcast. Really is the easiest place to find it is over there.
That's its home.
Now, and I want to say this too, because if you're out there listening to the radio and you want to catch the podcast over the next 2 weeks, I've had like 6 messages from Apple saying, we expect extended lead times from the time that you post up the podcast for us to actually publish it on Apple. So,
even
FYI
longer than it already does?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It could be 2 hours. It could be 6 hours. It could be 24 hours. They're saying it could be 48. We just don't know. So if you're looking for the podcast out there over the next few weeks and you want to find it, just head over to, Around the House Online and you'll find it over there.
Absolutely. And you'll also find our store there. You'll find a little bit of about us, your Good Day Oregon videos, which are good for other places other than Oregon.
Oh, yeah.
Also, we have a private group on Facebook that we'd like you to join. It's called Around the House Nation. It's closed. You have to ask to join it. Eric, myself, and Eric's other half, Julie, are all moderators in the group.
Yep.
We have one hard rule is no politics. We'll talk about how different things in the political world may affect your DIY project.
Yeah.
But we're not going to talk candidates. We're not bashing candidates. We're not doing any of that.
That's the easiest way to get 86'd. We just don't do it because there's way too much of it out there anyway. And this is the safe place where people can talk about projects.
Yep.
And not about that subject. So that's what we do right here. So I just want to say, thanks to everybody out there. And I do want to say thanks, and I hope everybody's had a great holiday season. We're coming up to the kind of the apex of it all right now.
Yep.
So I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas next year, Happy Hanukkah, all that stuff, because we've been talking about, some of the good stuff here. I can't believe that this is the pre-Christmas episode.
I can't believe 2020 is already almost over. I say that, and then I look back and I realize how long this year has been.
Oh, dear Lord, it has been. It has been. Well, I've been helping a bunch of different people, and we're going to talk about this in next week's show. We're going to talk about hiring contractors and stuff because this has been a hot topic. And if there's one thing, either on social media and messages to me, people are needing help with, is hiring the wrong contractor.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a guy from, I'm just going to leave names out of it, a guy in Georgia I've been dealing with who's super awesome. Him and I have been bouncing back and forth for the last, week to 10 days. He hired a what he thought was a reputable HVAC company to come in, and they did work that is rough. And I mean, rough.
No, and this gentleman did their due diligence. Because my big thing, whenever I hear this, like, okay, well, did you just hire somebody because you saw their number on an ad, or did you actually look them up, look up reviews, and whatever?
He did his research, kind of found out, but he had to really go serious with them to get their attention. And I mean, it's just poor craftsmanship. So much so, he asked somebody else what would it cost to fix it. And that was a $2,000 bill just to put it back the way it should have been in the first place.
So you already paid for the project that ended up not going right, and then had to pay another $2,000 to just tear it down and get it back to its original state.
Yeah, at least get it back to where it should have been. So these are things that I want you to be careful with. Now, I want you to do some research when you're hiring an HVAC company out there. HVAC companies many times are partnered up. Great example here in Portland, one of our sponsors on the show, Pyramid Heating and Cooling, they're a Carrier dealer.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like it when you're dealing with an HVAC company that is working on a product that they're a dealer of, that they have a reputation. Because
partnership with.
That partnership, they've got that training. They know how to deal with it. Some things you got to be really careful with if you're hiring out kind of that guy in the pickup that's going to install your new heating and cooling system. If they're not a trained, licensed installer, you might not be getting the warranty with that product.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I would like everyone out there that's going to be hiring a heating and cooling specialist to make sure that the people are installing it are installing a product that can be warranted. Because if you've got some guy that's not a licensed contractor, that's not a licensed HVAC tech, that has a buddy that works at a wholesaler, kind of knows what he's doing, and pops out and is selling stuff, when somebody comes out for warranty work from whatever brand
the
X
actual
is,
brand.
Yeah, they're going to go, well, nobody installed this correctly. Well, that doesn't have a warranty, and you paid for a product thinking you had a warranty.
Mm-hmm.
I just want people to think about some of the consequences with that. And next week, we're not going to talk about this really right now. I just wanted to touch base on this one as one out there that, we're getting into heating and cooling system season on the winter side of things right now in most areas. Down in Florida, you're still running that air conditioner, and I'm jealous a little bit.
Yeah, Northeast is hitting
snowed
it rough.
in. If you're listening to the show right now in the Northeast, you've got your snow shovel in many areas, and you're digging out from the weather this week. So welcome to winter. But We've got here in the Northwest, we're adjusting our sump pumps because on the west side it's
the normal thing.
It's the normal, rainy season.
It's wet.
But anyway, my point is just do your research on that. We're going to talk more in detail next week about that because it's just one of those things that I really want you to really pay attention to. And if you got any questions about contractors and that kind of stuff, feel free to hit me up on Facebook, Around the House with Eric G, or send us a message at aroundthehouseonline.com. More of Around the House just as soon as we return. Welcome to Around the House with Eric G. This is where we talk home improvement every single weekend. Thanks for joining us. Hey, make sure you hit us up on Facebook, Around the House with Eric G, or our website, Around the House Online. Well, like it's the holidays right now because we got my buddy on the phone, William White, Ardex. You are the man when it comes to all this stuff.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to Around the House, brother.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So a little background on we knew each other when we were kids and just reconnected a few years ago. And we have a non-proliferation treaty here that we're not going to fire off kid stories without having the other one tell kid stories. So we have a arms treaty here on this, so that won't be part of the show today because we both have stories that we probably don't want others to tell or hear. So we'll stick to that. But we'll talk grout and all the stuff that you do, man, because I tell you what, I have to say thank you for coming over and helping me on my backsplash project in the kitchen because, one, I always like working with a pro, and two, dude, you guys got some serious products.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I work for Ardex Engineered Cements. I am the field marketing specialist for the Western U.S. Ardex Engineered Cements is a premium supplier of tile and stone installation products. And that's what you got a little taste of on your backsplash. We've got more to come on some of your other projects coming up.
Oh, yeah. When we dive into that bathroom, that's going to be its own, own project all in itself. But, man, everything from just working with you on that, basically working on that, setting the tile to grouting it, man. I'm going to say it like this. I've used home center grade products, name the brand, but I've used them over the years because that was just the easiest place to go get it. And until it's like anything else, until you use something a little more serious and a little more pro oriented, it changes how you do things. And it was a fun project just doing a simple backsplash.
Absolutely. And, specifically with grout, for a lot of people, they're selecting the tile and the grout. They're not super concerned with maybe the waterproofing or what kind of mortars used, but that grout selection. I mean, think about how long did we consternate on, the 35, 36 different colors that there were available to select the right one that matched perfectly with your grout or with your tile.
We got it down to 2 really quickly, but those last 2 were a strong debate over 48 hours.
Exactly. And a lot of times the decision of grout is actually based on color. But there are a few other things that are important considerations to think about when selecting grout. There are basically 5 different kinds of grout on the market. And, understanding the differences between some of those can really help make an educated decision. And, in today's day and age, many people have had tile work and they know that grout is the one piece that's a maintenance issue. If it's not good grout, it's a problem, right?
I have had cheap white grout before on a floor, and I said, never again will I make that mistake. No, it just, once it gets dirty, you're in there with steam and everything else trying to save it. And, and I say cheap white grout because that's exactly what it was. And there are so many other different grouts that technology-wise, it used to be, all right, I got my sanded, non-sanded, and that's it. And now it's a whole different world.
Right. So, they were the what are considered ANSI 118.6 grouts. Yeah, those are the basic grouts, that you can walk into the home center and buy. They're no bells and whistles. They don't, they're colored sand and cement. That's what they are. as grouting technology has improved, now we have these high performance cement based grouts.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them can go from varied grout joints from a 16th all the way up to a half. So no longer do you have necessarily to choose between a sanded and non-sanded. You could have one material that could go in narrow joints as well as wide joints.
Nice. Yeah.
So these new high performance grouts don't even require sealing. So now your
There's the
maintenance
key.
is really cut down. Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, regular grout, sanded, non-sanded, just that ANSI grout like you were talking about, is not waterproof. Moisture goes through that. And I think that's the biggest mistake that homeowners make is they go, oh, tile's waterproof. Up, got the grout in there. That keeps the water from getting back there. Not unless you're sealing it.
And then sealers require constant upkeep.
Absolutely.
So, grout and tile is not intended to be waterproof by itself. That's why there are waterproofing roll-on membranes and so forth that are applied first before the tile is installed.
Mm-hmm.
That's truly your waterproofing. But you're right. It is a misnomer for a lot of homeowners to think that, well, I've got tile, it's waterproof. And I've even met tile contractors who think I don't have to waterproof, the cement backer board that I'm putting in.
Oh, and that's like a
If
sponge.
it's a shower, water passes right through it.
Oh, yeah.
So absolutely.
It's brutal. And that's the thing that I think that if you start to understand how these things work, and if you haven't done a tile project before, it's the same mistake that I see people when they run down to the home center and into the big box store and grab the green moisture-resistant sheetrock and decide that I'm going to put this in my shower and tile over the top of it.
Or they splurge and they get that really, really awesome purple board because it's super water repellent, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But sheetrock is not a good substrate for tile in a wet area.
It just doesn't, because you're everything is dependent on a coating of paper and the rock below it, and that's it. That's your whole existence of adhesion for the tile, and it's just a bad deal.
Well, and sheetrock, the gypsum, and the paper are both organic materials that are food sources for mold.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one thing that nobody wants to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about mold in their shower, and it could be coming from actually the substrate out.
Yeah, no question. And I've seen that happen so many times, Well, let's get into grout here because, one thing I had, I've tried many different types of grouts as a designer, working with remodeling clients that are contractors and their clients and that kind of stuff. We did your basic grouts. I was kind of an early adopter to some of the urethane type grouts that were out there. And
the single component grouts.
Yep. That didn't work pre-mixed. That didn't work so well. We had some troubles with that. And every year it seems the technology keeps getting better and better and better, where really it hadn't moved for 100 years before that.
It's true. So like I was saying, there are basically 5 kinds of grout. And, you've got your basic sand and cement grout, the basic stuff that you can buy, $10 a bag. It's no bells and whistles. You get what you get.
Yep.
For literally a few dollars more, you can get into these high performance cement based grouts or the ANSI 118.7 grouts. And what you get is better longevity, better shrinkage control, better color retention. You possibly don't have to seal it. You can get, from narrow joints to wide joints. For just a few dollars more. And then we go into, there's actually a couple different categories of epoxy grouts. Mm-hmm. Now for some installers and some, possibly homeowners, they hear the word epoxy and they cringe. Epoxies give you really superb stain resistance and chemical resistance. Now, not all epoxy grouts are created equal. There are what's called modified emulsions, and this is where you can dive really deep into the whole chemistry of it.
Yep.
But modified emulsions have a lot of limitations. They're a little easier to use, but they don't provide the protection that someone may think that they're getting. But the true 100% solids epoxies, that's where you can get the maximum in stain and chemical resistance. And, for most homeowners, do you need that on your entire project? Probably not. But how about that shower floor? It's getting all the shampoo, the purple shampoos, and all this and that all over the floor. And, the shower floor just takes a beating. And, combining one of these high-performance cement-based grouts on the walls and then doing these epoxies that have gotten so easy that they're just a water cleanup now on the floor, and you've got the best of both worlds.
Absolutely. And that's the key. And I've seen some serious issues that people have by using the right grout in the right space, if you know what I mean. Because I saw somebody grab one of the urethane grouts as a contractor I work with, and it was a major insurance claim because they grabbed the white, and there was I think it was a white grout on a marble floor, and they didn't do any tests with it. And the sand that was in that ended up being a pink sand. So by the time it really dried, it looked like a pink grout within this white marble mosaic floor that was high end.
Picture framing every marble tile. Oh, just terrible.
And it just and it was because the sand wasn't pure white, because sand is sand, right?
Sand to sand. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And so it turned out really, really to be a big, they had to tear the whole thing out again and start over. It was a big problem. But that was just on, and that's one thing too, when you're dealing with your different brands out there, make sure that you take a look at the color samples. Make sure that you read the disclaimer on the back of some of the grouts out there.
Do a test board.
Yeah, do a test board.
Do a test board. Yeah. Grab some scraps of the tile, and whether you're doing it at home, whether you're having a contractor do it, just take some of the scraps, throw them on a piece of scrap wood, whatever, and grout it up and see if it's going to be the proper selection.
Oh yeah, it can save you such a huge headache with any of this. I mean, it's one of those things, but. And the epoxy grouts have gotten, by some installers too, and even homeowners have gotten a little bit of a bad name because it's a little harder to work with than some of the other, more basic concrete style grouts.
I would say some of the older epoxies, that might be true.
That's why I'm talking about the stuff I used like 20 years ago.
I would suggest, hey, on your next project, I'm going to get you some of our epoxy grout, and I'll have you be the test of that. You tell me if it was any different than how we grouted your backsplash, that we just finished up.
Here's the thing. I know how you guys make products. If you guys are making an epoxy grout, I'm just not saying this because you're here, because I've just used your stuff. It is, when it comes down to grouting tile, if you guys are going to make it, then it's going to be good, and it's going to be easy to work with.
Yeah. And we haven't really you've kind of touched on it, but we haven't really, the single components, that fifth category of grout. I don't want to give it too much of a black eye, so to speak. There are some good manufacturers out there, and there have been some recent changes to a lot of the single components out there. The biggest issue used to be curing, that they took 7 days to cure, and people would get in there too soon, turn the water on, walk on it, whatever, and the grout would not be fully cured before you had traffic and things happening on it. But they've really done some improvements to single component grouts. Now, the one thing is I keep referencing these ANSI standards.
Yeah.
There currently is no ANSI standard for any of the single component grouts out there. So that's kind of hard because there are no test parameters to make sure that they're all equal. So do your due diligence, do a test sample board, make sure it's exactly what you want. It's the easiest thing to do. It's a whole lot easier to buy a $10, $20, whatever unit of grout and find out it's wrong for whatever reason, wrong color, wrong whatever.
Yep.
And throw that away than to have to, like you had with that marble floor, and end up ripping everything out.
Yeah, I felt bad for the contractor because, I actually wasn't even, as a designer, I designed the cabinetry and a bunch of other stuff in there. Yep. Homeowner was doing their own design work on it, and they showed up at the job site with material, and it just got to be a problem. You know, oh, you want white? Okay, great, let's do it. And things went sideways. So and you're right. It should have been a test. It should have been all those things. And it's no different than I tell people when you're painting around the house, you know, get that little paint color sample, put it up on the wall, see if it looks like you want it to be. Otherwise, you're just fighting that battle.
Spend 15 or 20 bucks and get a quart of paint, paint it on this wall and that wall and in the hallway and in the bathroom, and just do a couple little swatches. That way you can truly see, you know, if it's going to be the right selection.
Absolutely. And it's the smart way to go. Well, I was just, man, I want to say this too. This is one thing, talking about grout, that I think we need to address here. You don't always grout everything. You have joints that are grouted. You have joints that are caulked. And I want to talk about that too, because that's another one of those common mistakes that people make. You know, okay, I grouted it, and I grouted the walls, the floor, the everything around here, and then don't understand why things are moving.
Start breaking up, exactly. So we call those expansion joints or movement accommodation joints. And so the perimeter of all tile work should always have a little bit of room, right? We typically are working in wood framed houses, buildings. They move a little bit. Seasonally, they change, wind blows, whatever. Houses move. Tile work doesn't move. So we have to have a little bit of room there for allowance of that movement.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most of the time, you know, there are specific standards per the Tile Council of North America called EJ 171, and that's our expansion joints with how frequent they're supposed to be placed, whether it's inside, whether it's direct sunlight, so on and so forth. But around the perimeter, like we did on your job, you know, we want to have a little bit of room for movement. And the biggest one that I see people fail on is that backsplash to the countertop. They go ahead and hard grout that, and then that cracks out within 6 months to a year. It always cracks out.
Sure.
And what we did on your project was we used 100% silicone.
Yep.
And most people cringe when you say silicone because they've gotten it all over their hands and their pants and the doorknobs, and, you know, it gets everywhere. But I shared with you a really neat trick for working with silicone that makes it easy.
Dude, this is the best DIY home improvement construction hack that I've seen. I don't even want to call it a hack, because it's just a skillful trick for anybody out there that is using silicone caulking. And there's a huge difference between a latex or a modified latex and a silicone, because as far as stretchability, durability of it being able to move around, there's just no different. I mean, there's a huge difference between those two.
Absolutely. And the acrylic caulks, acrylic is once again an organic material, so it can be a food source for mold. So your caulking can get all moldy and looking terrible. But if you use 100% silicone, if you request that your contractor use 100% silicone, you're never going to have that problem of it shrinking and cracking and getting all moldy and looking terrible.
And so let's share that trick, because I tell you what, this is brilliant, man. And I think people want to hear this one out there, because it is a foolproof way to go.
Absolutely. So it works specifically with neutral cure silicone. So not all silicones are created quite equal.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that Ardex manufactures are neutral cure. And what we do is, there are a lot of different tricks out there with using denatured alcohol and taping off joints and, doing all these different things. But what I have found to be the most successful and the easiest to do is to simply, the tube already has the hole cut in it,
mm-hmm.
and simply apply the silicone. Now, I personally like to push the silicone into the joint rather than lay it out like you normally see a caulking bead laid out, kind of dragging behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like to actually push it, and it forces the material. And the other thing is you have to be sure that you've left space for that silicone. So we actually used little 16th inch spacers to give us a space for the silicone to go into. And then we used a aerosol glass cleaner to spray on that surface, and it acts as a surfactant or lubricant, allowing us to strike that joint off. And the silicone doesn't smear onto the adjacent surfaces because it's got the glass cleaner already on there, and it wipes off your finger. It's probably one of the easiest things to do once you know about it.
Yeah, all of a sudden I'm like, this is as easy as latex all of a sudden. Just because
actually easier.
That's what I mean. It's not as messy.
Yeah.
I just was shocked. It was one of those you go, really? Oh man, you showed me that trick and my eyes got probably as big as dinner plates as I went, man, you got me on that one. And then I shared up a couple weeks ago on Around the House with Eric G, your video. So any of you guys out there that are watching or listen to this, go back to Facebook, Around the House with Eric G, and you can see that posted up a couple weekends ago where I posted that trick up for people.
Nice.
All right, brother. Well, thanks for coming on the show today, man. I appreciate it. And we'll have you back on when we start diving into the heated floor and that kind of stuff. And
absolutely, Eric. We look forward to working with you on your projects, and I think we've got some more new and interesting things to share with you.
Oh, there's so much stuff, brother. Thanks for coming on today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Eric.
For more information about Ardex, head to ardexamericas.com. When we return, Z from Z Collection. We'll talk tile just as soon as Around the House returns. Hey everyone, it's Eric G from Around the House. I'm teaming up with Cam Anderson. Yeah, the epoxy live edge master from Blacktail Studio for his biggest project yet, a full home remodeling on his stunning Blacktail Ranch. We're talking about this charming but dated farmhouse, from lead paint chic to a modern functional dream home. Structural fixes, smart layouts, custom woodworking flair, real budgets, hiccups, pro tips, all documented step by step. If you're a Blacktail fan or love epic renovations, this is your series. Head to my YouTube channel right now, search Around the House Eric G, subscribe, and check out the Blacktail Ranch playlist. Cam's intro video is live, and a fresh episode will be dropping very soon. Don't miss this transformation and subscribe today.